The bed on the balcony. The twin moons of Valeria shined bright in the purple sky. The stars above danced like diamonds on silk. The alien city below was glowing gently, its curved towers and floating bridges lit with soft blue light. High above the city, on a wide stone balcony, two people stood side by side. One was a human named Liam Carter, a young systems engineer from Earth, stationed on Valeria to help upgrade their energy grid. The other was Serana, a tall and graceful alien girl with shimmering lilac skin, deep, violet eyes and long hair that floated behind her like a silken river. She wore a thin, elegant robe that glittered in the moonlight. They had become unlikely friends. Every night, after Liam's shift was over, he would walk up the long stairs, to the embassy balcony where Serana waited. They shared stories, about Earth, about her people, about the strange things in the galaxy that made them both laugh and wonder. Tonight was different. There was something in the air, a strange stillness. Serana leaned against the stone railing and looked at the moons. "You humans have such simple names," she said playfully. "Liam, Jack, Sarah. One syllable, easy to forget." Liam smirked. "Yeah? Well, yours isn't that simple either." She turned to him with a mysterious smile. "You don't even know my true name." Liam raised an eyebrow. "Wait, your real name isn't Serana?" She chuckled. "It's the name I use for trade and diplomacy, but my true name is only known to my people. We guard it carefully. It's sacred." Liam took a sip from his thermal flask. "Sounds serious." Serana looked at him, her eyes sparkling. "It is. In my culture, if someone speaks your true name without being told, it means something." "Like what?" She stepped closer, her smile playful, but her tone mysterious. "It means they're your soulmate." Liam laughed. "Wow. And what if someone guesses it by accident?" She raised her eyebrows. "Then the bond is made, instantly, for life." There was silence for a moment. Liam stared at her, half amused, half curious. "All right, let's make a deal." She blinked. "What kind of deal?" He grinned. "If I guess your real name, you have to marry me." Serana burst out laughing. "You? Marry me?" He shrugged. "Why not? Could be fun." She tilted her head, her laughter fading slowly. "You know, no one has ever guessed it before, not even from my own kind." "Challenge accepted," Liam said with a wink. Serana looked at him carefully. Her heart beat a little faster, though she didn't show it. "All right," she said softly. "If you guess it, I'll marry you." Liam nodded like he had just made a deal over lunch. Then he closed his eyes and rubbed his chin dramatically. Is it glornothraxia?" Serana nearly fell over laughing. "What even is that?" He grinned. "Just taking a wild shot. How many guesses do I get?" She shook her head, still giggling. "Only one, that's the rule." He sighed. "Well, that's no fun." She stepped back toward the railing. The wind picked up and lifted her hair. She looked out at the city below. "You're brave to joke about things you don't understand," she said quietly. Liam walked up beside her. "I don't need to understand everything. I just know that when I talk to you, it feels right." She looked at him, and for a second, just a second, her skin glowed faintly around her cheeks. She quickly turned away. Liam noticed. "Hey, was that a blush?" "No," she said too fast. "You're totally blushing." "I'm not." He laughed. "Wow, I didn't know aliens could blush." She rolled her eyes. "It's a chemical response, nothing special." They both stood in silence again, side by side. But this time, it was a comfortable silence. Then Serana whispered, "What if you did say it someday?" Liam looked at her. "Then I hope you have your wedding dress ready." She smiled, but her heart raced. She had only meant it as a joke. But something about him, his kindness, his courage, the way he spoke without fear, had always felt different. No one had ever dared to say her name. No one had ever made her laugh like this either. Above them, a shooting star crossed the sky. And far below, in the city's deepest levels, something ancient stirred, a whisper in the walls, a ripple in time. But up on the balcony, all that mattered was the girl, the joke, and the human who didn't know. He might be closer than he realized. The secret she never told, deep inside the glowing walls of the Valerian embassy, Serana sat alone in her private chamber. Outside, the alien city hummed softly in the night, but her mind was not with the stars. It was still on the balcony, still with Liam, the smiling human who had no idea what kind of fire he had just touched. She sat cross-legged on a round crystal cushion, facing a mirror made of living stone. Her violet eyes glowed faintly as she whispered to her reflection in her native tongue. He said it as a joke, but what if... She stopped herself. It was foolish. No human had ever come close. Not to her name, not to her world, not to her heart. And yet, when Liam looked at her, it wasn't with fear, not with caution, not with the cold curiosity most aliens used when speaking to her kind. He looked at her like she was just a girl, and that made her feel human in a way that scared her. She reached to the small orb on the table beside her. It was a memory stone, a tool her people used to store thoughts, dreams, emotions. She touched it lightly. It flickered to life, glowing soft blue. Inside it, a whisper echoed. Your true name is sacred. If one speaks it without being told, the stars will bind you. You will belong to them, and they to you. No empire can break such a vow. It was her mother's voice, recorded long ago. Serana pulled her hand back. The stone dimmed again. Her mother had been strict, a council leader, proud and strong, and she had made Serana swear never to let her name fall into the wrong ears. You'll be a diplomat one day, her mother once told her. You must never let emotion cloud your duty. But tonight, her heart had felt louder than duty. Serana stood and walked to the window. From her high chamber, she could still see the outer towers of the human colony base where Liam worked. He had probably already gone to sleep, still laughing to himself about his silly name guess, Glornathraxia. Stars, it was so ridiculous she almost cried from laughing. But the moment he had said it, something strange happened. Her birthmark, a tiny glowing mark behind her left ear, flickered. It had never done that before. Not once. She touched it gently. Now, it was warm. Suddenly, a soft knock came at the door. It was Ambassador Velen, an elder of her kind and a close advisor to her family. He entered without waiting for her permission, typical of his age and pride. You've been quiet this evening, he said, narrowing his silver eyes. Too quiet. Serana turned slowly. I needed peace. Velen raised an eyebrow. Peace? Or time to think about the human boy? She stiffened. He is not a boy. He's clever. Brave. He's dangerous. She blinked. He's kind. That makes him more dangerous, Velen said coldly. Humans bond with anything. Machines, dogs, planets. They form connections like it's a game. Serana clenched her fists. And yet we call ourselves advanced while hiding our names like secrets. Velen stepped closer. Because our names are not just sounds, they are codes tied to our soul, our history. You know this. If he says your true name, he won't, she said quickly. But if he does? The elder pressed. Serana turned back to the window. Then I will face the stars and let them decide. Velen sighed. You are your mother's daughter. But even she would not risk a binding with an earthborn. He placed a small device on the table. Tomorrow you leave, a shuttle to return you to the homeworld. The council has summoned you. No discussion. Then he turned and walked out. The door closed with a soft hiss. Serana stared at the device. Tomorrow, she would be gone. She would leave without saying goodbye, and Liam would never know why. He would never know how close he had come to changing everything. She felt a sharp pain in her chest, not from fear, from regret. Outside, clouds passed over the moons. In the distance, Liam sat in his quarters, tinkering with a broken translator, humming to himself. He didn't know that tonight would be the last time he'd see her, or so he thought. But far away, in the stars above, something shifted, something ancient and waiting. Because once a name is nearly spoken, the stars begin to listen, and sometimes they whisper back. The clues. He didn't know. He was following Liam Carter dreamed of stars, not the stars he saw from colony towers or glowing screens. These stars were ancient, sharp and bright, like they remembered something he didn't. In his dream, he stood in the middle of a giant black hall. Strange symbols floated in the air, swirling letters and shapes that looked almost alive. One symbol shined brighter than the rest, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. Then he heard a voice, faint, soft, calling him by a name he didn't understand, and asking for hers in return. He woke up with a jolt, breath short and heart racing. The lights in his room flickered for a second as if they had felt it too. Later that morning, Liam walked into the underground energy sector, Sector 9, deep under the Valerian capital. He had a job to finish before his scheduled departure in 2 days. The place was dark, quiet, and smelled of burnt wires. Another broken relay, he muttered, pulling tools from his bag. But when he removed the outer panel, something strange caught his eye. Not wires, not parts, but a carving. Faint, etched deep into the wall behind the machinery. He brushed away the dust. The symbol was shaped like a loop with 3 stars above it. His hand froze. It was the same symbol from his dream. How is that possible? He whispered. He scanned it, but the system didn't recognize the mark. No data. No entry. Nothing. It shouldn't exist. And yet, he felt like he had seen it long before last night. The rest of the day, Liam couldn't focus. Every sound, every shadow reminded him of something deeper. On his break, he passed a group of Valerian scholars reviewing ancient data slates. One of them showed a star map from thousands of years ago. As the display rotated, one section caught Liam's eye. It was faint, but he could see that same symbol again, hidden in the background stars. He leaned closer. "Excuse me?" he asked. "What's that symbol there?" The scholar blinked at him. "You saw that?" Liam nodded. The scholar looked nervous. "Most species can't see those patterns. They're old Valerian code, related to name lore, sacred stuff." "Name lore?" Liam repeated. "Yes. Our people believe some names aren't chosen. They're found, like they already exist in the universe, waiting to be spoken." Liam stood still for a moment. His mind raced. That strange dream, that symbol. Serana's joke. "If you guess my real name, I'll marry you." Could it really be more than a joke? Could he be? Finding her name? That night, he didn't sleep. He pulled up every piece of data he could about Valerian naming traditions, their history, their ancient scripts. Most of the information was hidden, restricted to their royal and noble bloodlines. But Liam was good with systems. Really good. He found enough to see a pattern. Valerian true names weren't random. They were long, song-like words built from meanings. Sky, light, memory, heart, time. And something else. Bond. One text mentioned a rare event. When a non-Valerian dreamed of name symbols unspoken, it meant a bond had started, one older than blood, older than politics. His chest tightened. This wasn't just a connection. It was a calling. He got up and walked to the window. The stars were quiet again, but he could feel them watching. He whispered under his breath, "Serana, I don't know your real name, but I feel it. Somewhere inside me." His wrist communicator buzzed. It was a message. From a Valerian diplomat. "She's leaving tomorrow. Shuttle launches at dawn. Liam's eyes widened. He was out of time. He ran to the data slab, grabbed the symbols from his dream, and pieced them together like a puzzle. The shapes didn't spell anything in Valerian script, not directly, but when he whispered the sounds, slowly, one by one, it felt right. Not like a word he learned, but like a word he always knew. A name. Far across the city, in her ship quarters, Serana sat silently, preparing for departure. She touched her birthmark. It was glowing again, but this time it pulsed with warmth, not warning. She didn't know why, but somewhere in her heart, she knew. Someone was coming for her, and he was getting closer to saying the one name she had never told. The night. She almost left. The shuttle bay was quiet, too quiet for a farewell. Serana stood at the base of the launch ramp dressed in ceremonial white robes, her long violet hair braided in loops down her back. Around her, Valerian guards stood tall and still, their faces hidden behind silver masks. Above them, the ship hummed softly, waiting. Inside her chest, her heart pounded like war drums. She had told no one what happened on the balcony. No one about the way Liam's eyes met hers. No one about the strange warmth in her name mark. Not even about the dreams. This was supposed to be a clean exit. Go home. Forget the human. Serve the council. But she couldn't forget. And the mark behind her ear wouldn't let her. It pulsed now, glowing, stronger than ever. Far across the city, Liam Carter ran, through traffic lanes, across glowing bridges, down spiral lifts. He didn't have a shuttle pass. Didn't care. He shoved past 2 security bots and jumped over a low rail, cutting straight through the outer ring of the diplomatic sector. His lungs burned, his legs shook, but he didn't stop. She was leaving, and he hadn't said it yet. Back at the shuttle bay, the ambassador stepped forward. "Time to board, Serana," he said gently. "The council is expecting you." She nodded slowly, but her eyes scanned the sky behind him, the road leading to the tower gates, the shadows beyond the guards. She was waiting. She didn't know why, just that he would come. Liam's jacket tore as he slid down a power line slope. His wrist device buzzed. Local authorities were tracking his movements now. He ignored it. His mind repeated the name again and again. The one he saw in the dream, the one built from light, bond, and memory. He didn't even know what it meant, only that when he said it, the stars seemed to listen. "Final boarding," said the flight officer. Serana stood at the ramp. Still, silent. Then, a voice rang out from the distance, breathless, loud, shaky. "Serante Vailarin." The sound echoed through the steel and stone. Everyone turned. There he was, Liam, his shirt ripped, one hand gripping the balcony rail, chest rising and falling fast. Serana gasped. The name echoed again in her mind. Serante Vailarin, her true name. Not a guess, not close, exact. The guards reached for their stun staffs. "Wait!" she shouted, stepping forward, but her voice wasn't needed, because something else happened. Her mark exploded in golden light, visible even through her hair. The sky above flickered, lightning without storm. The ship's sensors buzzed with error signals. A binding had just been made, in front of witnesses, in front of the stars. Liam walked forward slowly, eyes on her. "I didn't come to stop you." "I know," she whispered. "I came to speak what I was meant to say." Her hands trembled as she reached up and touched the glowing mark. "You didn't just say it. You heard it, in the old way." He nodded. "I don't know how, but I felt it, like your name was already inside me." Her lips trembled. The ambassador shouted, "This is not permitted. A human cannot—" "Cannot what?" Serana said loudly, her voice stronger than before. "Cannot know my name? The stars say otherwise." A silence fell. The guards didn't move. The ship dimmed, and high above, the two moons crossed paths, an ancient Valerian symbol for soul union. Liam stepped closer, just a foot away now. "So," he said with a crooked smile, "do I still get to marry you?" She stared at him, eyes shining. "You were never supposed to guess." "I didn't guess," he said softly. "I remembered." The ambassador turned away. "We must report this to the council. There will be consequences." Serana ignored him. She reached forward and took Liam's hand. And in the warm quiet of that shuttle bay, something changed. A bond older than law, older than species. A name bond once made could not be undone. When he spoke her name, the stars didn't shine the same after that moment. Not for Serana, not for Liam, not for the witnesses standing frozen in the shuttle bay, their eyes wide, their hands unsure. The sound of her name still echoed in the air, like a soft bell that refused to fade. Seranthai Valarian. He hadn't just said it. He sang it, the way her ancestors would, the way only her destined bondmate could. The sound carried weight, pulling at memories, stirring energy in the air, and waking something ancient in the walls around them. Inside her, something deep and hidden unlocked. Her blood warmed, her heart raced, not from fear but from recognition. He spoke it from the soul. The birthmark behind her ear, no longer just a mark, was now glowing like sunlight under skin. It spread across her neck in golden lines. Name fire, they called, a phenomenon recorded only in ancient Valerian texts. The name fire only happened when a sacred bond was triggered by fate, not politics, not permission, and it had happened now, with a human. Across the bay, the ambassador's face went pale. His voice, when it finally returned, was cold and sharp. "This cannot stand. This is a violation of every known tradition." Liam didn't move. "I didn't mean to break your rules," he said quietly. "I just didn't want to lose her." One of the guards stepped forward, weapon half raised. Serana moved faster. She stood between Liam and the guard, her robe catching the light like a banner. "If you harm him," she said, her voice low but firm, "you reject the will of the stars." The guard stopped. The ambassador's hands trembled. "The council will not allow this," he whispered. Serana turned, facing everyone, including the guards, the officers, and the staff. "Then let the council face the stars and tell them they are wrong." Word spread quickly. Within hours, the entire Valerian capital buzzed with whispers. A human spoke her name. The name fire burned through the bay. He didn't learn it, he remembered it. On the edge of the city, the sacred towers lit a signal that hadn't been used in 500 years, the calling light. It meant a true bond had occurred, one that must be judged by the high seat. In the council hall the next day, Serana stood tall, with Liam beside her in a borrowed ceremonial tunic. They stood before 7 elders, each wrapped in ancient robes and shadowed hoods. The center elder spoke. "You are Serana, daughter of House Valerian?" "Yes." "And this human spoke your name unbidden?" "He did." "And you accept this bond?" She took Liam's hand. "With my whole heart." The room buzzed with energy. Another elder leaned forward. "Human, did you steal this knowledge? Use forbidden tech?" "No," Liam said calmly. "I dreamed it. I saw it. It was like her voice, found its way to me before I ever heard it." One of the younger elders whispered to the others, "Just like in the lost records." Silence stretched. Then the center elder stood and raised her hand. "The stars have spoken. The bond is valid. The law is clear." Murmurs spread across the chamber, some in awe, some in disbelief, some in quiet fury. Outside, reporters and diplomats swarmed the steps, lights flashing, voices shouting, but Serana ignored them. She looked only at Liam. "You broke every rule," she said softly. "I'd do it again." He smiled. She laughed once. "You still owe me a wedding." "I thought the name was the proposal." "Maybe," she said, "but I want cake." Far above them, The stars aligned differently for the first time in centuries. A small movement, barely seen, but it was enough, because one human heart had spoken the unspeakable, and the universe had listened. The council's wrath, it should have ended there, with the stars shining, with her name spoken, with the bond made and honored. But the universe, especially the powerful part of it, never likes surprises. 3 days later, the council summoned Serana again. This time, she stood alone in a dark marble chamber deep under the citadel where no outsiders were allowed. The walls here were cold, alive with ancient codes that flickered softly. Words spoken in this room weren't just heard, they were recorded forever. A single voice cut through the silence. High Elder Vorthon, old, stone-faced, and angry. You have broken a sacred line, he said. No alien has ever been allowed. Into our naming ritual, Serana stood still, calm. But fire burned in her chest. I did not invite him in, the stars did. Another elder, younger but sharper, hissed. You let a human touch what should never be touched. What if others follow? Serana met her gaze. Then maybe it is time we stop hiding behind laws made in fear. There was a pause. A long, deep pause. Then Vorthon slammed his hand on the stone table. You speak like a traitor. No, Serana said softly. I speak like someone who has been chosen. You always taught us to honor the old laws. Now you're afraid of them. Meanwhile, outside the citadel, Liam waited on a bench made of glowing crystal. He had no access to what happened inside. Armed Valerian guards watched him closely, some with disgust in their eyes. A passing noble sneered at him. The human who broke our bond laws. Liam stayed quiet. He wasn't here to fight, but he wasn't leaving without her. Inside, Serana took a deep breath. I have a proposal, she said. Test him. The elders exchanged glances. What kind of test? The rite of echo. Gasps filled the chamber. It was one of the oldest, most dangerous Valerian traditions. A name bond was placed inside a sacred crystal. If the bond was false, the crystal shattered. If it was true, it echoed the name for all to hear, even the ancestors. You would risk the crystal for this human? One asked. I don't believe. It's a risk, she replied, but if it is, I'll accept exile. Another pause. Then Vorthon nodded. So be it. That night, in the Cavern of Echoes, Liam stood before a glowing blue crystal suspended in air. The chamber felt alive, the air thick with memory. Every step he took echoed like thunder. Serana stepped beside him. You don't have to do this, she whispered. He smiled. You think I came this far just to stop now? A soft hum filled the room as the ritual began. A projection of her true name floated above the crystal, not as words, but as emotion, color, light. Liam was told to speak, just once. If the bond was false, the energy would burn them both. He took a breath, closed his eyes, and spoke. Seranthai Valerian. The room froze. The crystal pulsed. Then softly it sang. A perfect echo of her name, ringing like wind chimes through stone. Then it echoed again, and again. 7 times, each one louder than the last, until the final echo rang so deep that even the elders fell silent. It was real, undeniably, unshakably real. The next morning, the council released an official statement. The bond has been verified. The ancient laws are clear. It must be honored. But not everyone accepted it. Riots sparked in border provinces. Alien species demanded the law be changed. A noble house announced it was withdrawing from the alliance. In private, Vorthon met Serana one last time. You've made a storm, he said. I didn't make it, she replied. I just stopped pretending it wasn't there. He gave her a rare, cold smile. Then I hope you know how to ride it. Later that night, Serana returned to Liam. He was standing at the same balcony where all of this had begun. You okay? He asked. I will be, she said. Then she pulled something from her robe. It was a small crystal, still glowing faintly from the test. It still sings, she said. He looked at her, half laughing. Does that mean I passed? She stepped closer. No, it means we both did. Her vow under the stars above Valeria were quiet tonight, as if they too were waiting to see what would happen. The ceremony of declaration hadn't been performed in nearly 200 years, not for a war, not for a treaty, not even for a royal union. But tonight the entire city gathered, not for a prince, not for a queen, but for a human, and the alien girl who once teased him about guessing her name. The open sky plaza, carved from white crystal, floated above the Capitol towers. Hundreds of Valerians stood in silence, dressed in flowing robes. Lights shimmered around them, reflecting off their skin. Liam Carter stood at the center, wearing ceremonial white. His hands were at his sides, nerves crawling across his skin. He had faced machines, storms, and even angry politicians, but nothing made him shake like this. At the far end of the platform, a song began, soft, ancient, and wordless. It was the calling hymn, only sung during moments when history changed, and then she appeared, Serana. Her violet skin shimmered like silk under the moonlight. Her hair was unbound, flowing behind her like starlight caught in wind. She wore no crown, no necklace, only a glowing symbol over her heart, the same one that had burned when he spoke her name. He had never seen her look so powerful, or so completely herself. She walked toward him slowly, eyes locked with his. When she reached him, she didn't speak right away. Instead, she looked at the crowd, her people, her elders, even her doubters. She raised her voice. Not long ago, I joked that if a human guessed my name, I would marry him. There were a few polite chuckles, but I never believed anyone would. I never believed anyone could. Her voice grew stronger. My name was more than a sound. It was a story, a memory, a truth passed down through my bloodline. And yet, this human spoke it. She looked at Liam now. Not from a textbook, not from stolen knowledge. He spoke it like he had always known me. She paused. I stand here today, not as a diplomat, not as a daughter of House Velaryon, but as Seranthe, the woman who found her bond where no one expected. She reached out her hand to him. And I choose Liam Carter. Liam took her, and the moment he did, a wave of golden light pulsed outward from their fingers. The name symbol above their heads shone in the air, two spirals joined by a single glowing thread. Gasps filled the crowd. The bond flame. Something seen only in legend. It meant that the bond wasn't just legal, it was blessed by the stars themselves. From the back, a small girl whispered, "Are they married now?" An elder smiled gently. "Not yet." Serana turned to Liam and spoke in a language no human had ever been taught. The words didn't need translation, because he felt them in his mind, in his chest. They were a vow, not just of love, but of recognition. Where your voice calls, I will answer. Where your path leads, I will follow. What you forget, I will remember. And when your name fades from the world, I will still carry it in mine. Liam's eyes shimmered. He whispered the only words he could say, "I found your name, but you found my heart." The ceremony ended without a crown, without fireworks, without fanfare. Just two hands held tightly beneath the stars, and a silence that felt like approval from the galaxy itself. Later, that night the two stood alone on the same balcony where it all began. Serana leaned on the railing. "You know, I still can't believe you said it." Liam chuckled. "Neither can I. Do you remember what you said before that?" He tilted his head. "Which part?" She turned and smirked. "You said, if I guess your real name, you have to marry me." He grinned. "Still holding you to that?" She stepped close, nose almost touching his. "Then I hope Earth weddings include cake." "They do," he said. "But first we'll need a guest list that spans at least 2 galaxies." She laughed. And then, without fear, without doubt, kissed him beneath the twin moons. in a universe full of mystery and war, betrayal and secrets. Sometimes the strongest force is something simple. A name, a vow, a bond written not in law, but in stars.